Why do we as writers start on a writing project and then bail on it? And furthermore, how do we stop that from happening? Those will be the questions that I will be answering in today's video on Writing It Right. Hi everybody, my name's Q Zion and welcome back, or welcome if you're new to my channel, Writing It Right. I'm super excited about today's video because I thought it would be really nice to do a writer's help video where I kind of give some of my writerly advice to new and seasoned writers about something that I think we've all faced. And that is a scenario in which we start on a brand new writing project that we're really excited about. We start off writing 1,000 words a day, or maybe even more if you do have the time. And then all of a sudden we stop working on that project. This has probably got to be one of the most common issues in the writing community, where I see so often, including myself. Lots of writers often have these wonderful ideas and beautiful stories brewing in their head for months, maybe even years, weeks sometimes, and then we finally get started on our projects and we're really excited about them, and then just all of a sudden we stop working on them. And I wanted to do a little bit of an advice video where I kind of share some tips with you guys about how we as writers can become more consistent with our writing schedules and actually reaching our writing goals. Alright, I am super excited about today's video, but before we get into the tips, please do give this video a humongous thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. Your support means the whole world to me, and without further ado, let's get into the video. So this first tip is something that I feel like is so important, especially for newer writers or people who are just introducing themselves to writing, and that is start slow. It's my honest opinion that writing is probably one of the most fun activities like in this universe, and if you're like me, you've probably been loving writing for your entire life. And that being said, I feel like when you first get the idea for a brand new project and you're really loving it, it's kind of easy to kind of want to skip all the planning, skip all the plotting, not even worry about the word count or how many goals you want to set for yourself. And it's just kind of easy to kind of jump into that writing process because you're so excited about your project. And that being said, especially for new writers or people that are just getting into writing consistently, one of the best pieces of advice that I could give you is to start slow with your writing projects and goals. As writers, we might not always want to admit it, but it is a lot easier to get burnt out or just kind of get tired with your project when you're aiming to do 100,000 words and that's your first novel that you've ever written, or you're planning on writing 5,000 words a day every single day without any breaks. While it is good sometimes to be ambitious with your writing and to take risks, because I do believe when used in moderation, it's good to do 5K word days and to kind of shoot for the stars when it comes for your writing goals. However, if we do this too much, it is easy to become kind of tired, with your story idea, or tired with writing in general, even when you love writing as much as I do and many other writers do. So some really good advice is kind of, cutting it down a little bit when you're first starting writing, or maybe you're getting into writing after a little while of not writing consistently, is just starting slow with your word count goals, or with how much you write a day, or how big you want your project to be. Just be patient with yourself, be patient with your words, and let the words come when they come. Tip number 2 would be to dedicate specific time for writing. And I believe this is so important for no matter how long you've been writing. I feel like, especially if you're a teenage author like me or a young adult in college and you're in school and you're trying to find time every day to write, it's super easy to kind of put it off to the side when it comes to actually writing every day or hitting your word count goals every day, because let's be honest, being a student and trying to write, sometimes the time is non-existent when you're trying to balance every single element of your life. That being said, something that I would really consider doing if you have a tight schedule like me and you cannot always, specifically find a lot of time in your day to write, is create a schedule. Or even if it's not like a specific time that you're going to write, break it down into goals. Like, how some people do their writing goals for the year? Instead, you might want to do something like your writing goals for every month of the year and kind of break what you want to do in different sections. Instead of writing a 50,000 word novel this year, maybe you want to do 10,000 words a month until you get to your goal. So just separate things and create a schedule that breaks down your goals into shorter parts, so that way you don't have to do it all in one, and it prevents you from getting burnt out or from trying to do too much at one time and eventually bailing on your project, since that is exactly what we're trying to avoid. I know some of you guys might not be the biggest fans of actually planning your story before you actually get into the writing process, but the third tip of today is going to be plan. When I say that planning is probably one of the best things that you can do before you actually get into writing your book, I would say that that is like my number one tip for people that are trying to be consistent with their writing, because it is much easier to get burnt out while you're actually in the process of writing your story when you don't at least have a blurred vision of what is up ahead. Now, that being said, that does not mean you have to know every single specific ins and out of your plot or every single character arc or the way your characters are going to change throughout the story, every single detail about each particular setting and all that's going to happen. You don't have to have a clear vision about the end of the tunnel, but I think at the very least, I think it's good to have at least a very rough plan of what your story is going to be about. And honestly, I think a lot of times when we as writers do not do this beforehand, I think what happens is a lot of times we end up either sitting in our desk for minutes or even hours trying to figure out what's going to happen next in our story, or we could eventually get burnt out to the point where we completely stop working on our projects, both of which are situations that we want to avoid. Therefore, you might not necessarily agree with me on this tip or planning in general, but as a former pantser who is now a planter, I've got to give all the pantsers out there a little secret. Planning really does work. Tip number 4 is another one of my favorites, and that is create a reward system. I found this super effective specifically for quick yet lengthy projects such as NaNoWriMo of last year. I had to do 50,000 words in 30 days, and creating a reward system was pretty much one of my saving graces when it came to actually staying consistent with my word count. So if you've never heard of a reward system before, basically it is every time you reach a writing goal set by you, you get to reward yourself with a special surprise that you enjoy doing. For example, for NaNoWriMo, I had to write 50,000 words in 30 days. So my grandmother and I agreed together that every time I wrote 5,000 words, she would give me $5. And along with that, every time I wrote 25,000 words, we went out for ice cream. Basically, a reward system is not only meant to reward you for your progress, but also give you something to look forward to while you're actually in the process of reaching all of your writing goals. Not only are reward systems very motivational, but they're also the perfect way to kind of give yourself an excuse for doing something nice for yourself or going out with your family or your friends and really honestly doing something that you really enjoy or that you really have not done in a while, but you've missed and that you'd like to do again. So in short, if you want to reward yourself for your progress, I would definitely recommend a reward system. So most likely the most important tip on this list is number 5, be intentional. And I think this tip is so important when it comes to wanting to do anything more, whether that is writing or reading or having more family time. I feel like whenever you're trying to set a goal for yourself, you have to be intentional with your action. To give you guys an example, as I stated earlier, being a student and a writer at the same time can be a lot, especially when it comes to trying to fulfill your school's priorities of you and then wanting to write on the side. That can be a whole lot to balance sometimes, and I think that goes with being intentional with your time and really making sure that you put in the time every day to actually reach your writing goals. Being intentional is something that you can do in different ways, whether that means just taking time instead of being on your phone on social media for 3 hours a day and taking half of that time to write, or just making sure that on that time, maybe when you're not doing anything and you don't have anything on your schedule, just take that time to be proactive and use that time to work towards your writing goals. I think that when we do little things like that and we intentionally make sure that we are doing what we need to do to reach our writing goals in a reasonable amount of time, that we are doing what's best to make sure that not only are we staying consistent with our writing, but we can also do the other things that we'd like to do in our day-to-day lives as well. So yeah, those are pretty much all the 5 tips that I have today for how to be a more consistent writer. And I really hope these helped you guys, because I think that honestly, when it comes to writing, while it is super fun, it is so easy to kind of lose inspiration when it comes to our projects and losing that motivation and that fuel that we need to keep going to actually reach our writing goals. So if this was helpful to you, please give this video a humongous thumbs up, subscribe to my channel down below, and let me know if there are any other help videos or maybe even reading and writing vlogs that you'd like to see from me in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!